Yo, guys, happy to have you here again at Financial Fortress. And today is another great day to talk about Palantir and asset allocation. And basically, today, what I would like to go through with you is both a little bit mindset of long-term investors, how I basically approach to my personal portfolio. So you can little bit see how other people are doing stuff, so you can extrapolate what would make sense for you, right? Because obviously we are different people, different investors with different goals. But thanks to this conversation, we can a little bit get better, right, over time by having access to all those great resources. And so let's get into it. Basically, at the moment, the second biggest position in my portfolio is Palantir. That's no secret, probably for you at this point. And basically, what I would like to go through with you today is how I was buying Palantir over time, right? Because the way I see myself as a long-term investor, and if you count yourself as one as well, what's your goal? I would say it's basically accumulating great assets over time, right? We are here to really build something, build an empire, so to say. So we are really here for the long run. If that's how it should be. Have really this 3, 5, 7 year outlook, ideally, right? Because again, having all this market nonsense. You have to be able to basically cut through all this BS, right? And really focus on the companies, because the more you listen to lots of this, different stuff about inflation, about Fed, it's a noise, right? And you really need to focus on data that's important, which, in my opinion, kind of coming through the school of Warren Buffett, I would argue, is to invest in a great businesses that will do better over time, right? As long as you invest in a business that's growing revenue and eventually growing, the bottom line, the net income over time, you will do very fine and you will be handsomely rewarded, unless you are, significantly overpaying. But as long as you are paying a business that's grows, that improves over time, you will do fine, and the stock price will basically follow. The only question is, how steep is going to be that angle, right? So basically, let me show you a little bit how I was buying Palantir basically since it came to being, right? Because obviously Palantir has been here for a long, long time, but it IPO'd in the autumn of 2020, right? And that was actually the first time I bought into Palantir. The reason for that was that at that point I was obviously quite familiar with Peter Thiel and the whole notion of, if you've probably heard about the term PayPal Mafia, right? I was, and I still obviously am a very, very big fan of Elon Musk. So I was familiar with lots of those people around him, so some other guys, the guy who founded LinkedIn, for example, right? And lots of those people, after their after they ended in PayPal, they were able to, replicate their success again and again with other companies. And I was aware that Palantir exists, and when I basically heard about their direct public offering, I've read the book 0 to 1 from Peter Thiel, which put the company on my radar as an investable company for a first time, right? So I did some initial research, looking into the company, looking what growth they are aiming, the overall product or service they are offering, and basically made some of the first assumption. At that point, I understood that the company is likely to be one of the successful ones. However, obviously that level of conviction changes with the level of your research, right? So, during this time, I basically, both a little bit, nibbled, 50 shares here, 50 shares there, basically made it a small position in my portfolio worth of further research. But then obviously we know what happened in the early 2021. Obviously lots of those growth stories, they just shot up super quickly, which as the stock price rises, in a sense, my conviction goes lower, right? Because if at this point I have a certain price target, let's say, just for the sake of the argument, I'm having a price target for Palantir for 2025 of $80, let's say. So from this top here for 3 years, double up, that's definitely something that's decent, but it's not as great price as it was here, right? So it's important to have also a buying plan, right? And in case there is, a better company to invest in, you have to go for it. So basically, since the Palantir shot up so quickly, it a little bit cooled my interest, right? But of course, I kept researching. I love, looking into the companies, looking into their financials, looking what they are doing, right? How the world is improving. It really fascinates me. So the company obviously stayed on my radar, and as things kind of started to cool off in the second half of 2021, it got me interested in Palantir again, right? So I had this, buying range in my mind. Like if it's like below 22, that's a decent number where I'm comfortable to adding to my position a little bit, right? Because obviously on the long-term outlook, at this price target, it seemed quite appealing to me. Not to make it a super big position, but again, I'm really bullish on the company. It's really a great product they are having. They just need to make the proper, basically, I'm calling it blitzkrieg, right? Now when they have the product and they are scaling in that in the commercial space, they now really need to show everyone what they got and make them addicted to Palantir, right? To their software, and just really kind of now is the time to convert, and that's the challenge they are facing now. But let's get back to my buying plan conviction, right? So obviously during the whole 2021, as I was keeping in touch with the company, my conviction was slowly growing, right? And as my conviction is growing, right, just over this period, and at the same time, over the past couple of months, the price has been steadily, on a decline, and there's just a macroeconomic trend, right? Because sometimes those companies, especially if they are, growth stories, and their price really doesn't have like a steady bottom, right? Since they are not fully profitable or not profitable enough, the price can fluctuate. You're paying obviously for the long-term outperformance by volatility. That's very likely to happen, and you have to understand that it comes to investing, especially in the growth stock and especially in these long-term stories. So, obviously as the price was really, going depressed, and at the same time, I'm still having my price target, which we can talk in some of the later videos, maybe going to a little bit through my valuation spreadsheet. If you would like that, let me know in the comments, and I can show you my full valuation model, and you can see if it makes sense to you. But again, let's get back to my buying spree, right? Because as the price got depressed, and my price target is at a certain level, and my conviction in that price target is rising as I know more. So, since past couple of months, I've been just buying, because at this point, it's very nice price point for me personally, right? Seeing what's to come in the, basically to this decade for Palantir, I think it's going to be a really important time, especially with lots of uncertainty we have around, lots of chaos, and that's all playing into Palantir cards. And again, as you can see, that really makes me to just want to buy more, and whenever there were any funds available, Palantir is basically what I was buying for the past couple of months, because for me it makes the most sense considering the risk and reward ratio, right? So I hope this basically helps you a little bit with your own thinking about long-term investing and outperformance, right? And also being a little bit of patient, right? Because if I caught FOMO in this point and just tried to pile into Palantir, I wouldn't have as many shares as I have now, right? So in a sense, this short-term underperformance it's a gift for a long-term investor because we are able to accumulate a bigger part of some of those great companies. So, if one of your stock that's, not really performing as you maybe intended, but if you still see the vision, if you are still confident in all your numbers, then why wouldn't you just buy more? Because again, you're building something here. You're building an empire, something that's, just imagine it in 5-7 years. Try to look at your portfolio, see what your potential price target might be, and extrapolate. Do the number and see how big your portfolio can be in 5 years if your scenarios play out, right? That's actually an amazing exercise that's I think everyone should do, right? Because just as an imaginary scenario, maybe your portfolio is at 50K at the moment, right? And you will look into it and basically see what your price target are, and then you extrapolate and you suddenly see, okay, in 5 years, if those scenario plays out, like this is 200K portfolio. Wow, that's amazing. Woo. And have this mindset, right? Your portfolio as it is now, that's not indicative how it's going to be in those 4 or 5 years. So these are my 2 cents, right? Be really excited about investing and about the future, because in the end, really, you're buying the stock now, but you are building something. So hope you enjoy this and take care for now.